The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we are taking a look at the player cards that were spoiled in Into the Maelstrom, the sixth and final Mythos pack in the Innsmouth Conspiracy Cycle. FFG released a preview article for this Mythos pack late last week, and there are 5 player cards that we will be taking a look at today. There are spoilers throughout if you care about that sort of thing. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. Special thanks to Robert Piggott, the latest patron to Embrace the Darkness. Thank you very much, Robert, for your support. It's greatly appreciated, and I hope that your 2021 is filled with a lot of fantastic Arkham Horror LCG adventures. If you'd like to be like Robert and support the channel's goals and see our name on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Without further ado, let's get started. Fantasy Flight spoiled 5 player cards in their preview article for Into the Maelstrom, the 6th and final Mythos pack in the Innsmouth Conspiracy Cycle. This is the final pack, so we expect some powerful cards. And this Mythos pack preview did not disappoint. We'll start off with the card fan. We see there are 5 cards in it. Some of them are not visible. We see Jacob Morrison, who is looks like a Survivor ally. We see an unnamed Mystic card, but it does cost 5 experience points, and it's free. I'm already liking the looks of that one. We'll take a look at Ancestral Knowledge in a moment. And we're going to start off by taking a look at Hallow and Lucky Dice. Hallow has generated a lot of debate online since it was spoiled. It is a 3-cost event that has a willpower and wild skill icon. The spell and bless traits. As an additional cost to play Hallow, return a total of 10 bless tokens to the token pool from the chaos bag or sealed on cards in play. Remove 1 doom from any card in play. Now, we're going to start at the top with this one and work our way down. Hallow has the spell trait, so it synergizes with cards like Arcane Initiate, Diana Esperance. You can stack this on her and play it multiple times if you can get the Bless tokens. Marie Lambeau can pick this up, and you can use it with Prescient. It has the Bless trait, so it's yet another Bless cards for Father Mateo. I can't think of another investigator in this who has benefited more from the Innsmouth Conspiracy cycle than Father Mateo. Hallow costs 3 resources, which is quite steep, but I don't think that you'll be playing this, paying for this all that often. You can get it at a discount if you're playing the parallel version of Agnes Baker. You can get it for cheap with Divermus Mysteris. Rite of Sanctification will let you reduce its cost. Robes of Endless Night, Shining Trapezohedron, and Uncage the Soul will also let you play this for less than 3 resources. Now, removing a Doom from the agenda or a card such as Abyssal Tome or Blood Pact, which we talked about during our review of the player cards in the Devil Reef Mythos pack, is a very rare and powerful ability, and rightfully so, simply because adding Doom to the agenda deck is one of the key mechanics in the game. And if the designers were to muck around with that too much, they might make adding Doom trivial, in which case, or just not happen at all, in which case the scenario kind of breaks down. And so they've been very careful about cards that add or remove Doom from cards in play. So there's no doubt that this is a very rare and powerful ability. Now, it does, as part of its activation, you are required to remove a total of 10 Bless tokens from the Chaos Bag or sealed on cards that you control. I think this is the final Mythos pack of the cycle, and we have seen many ways to generate the requisite number of Bless tokens. There are several cards that add them as fast free triggered abilities. So I don't think, while it seems quite adding 10 Bless tokens to the bag is going to be, it's going to take some work, but I don't think it's a huge amount of work. You should not have too much trouble adding 10 blessed tokens to the bag. There is also an interesting combo between Hallow and the Mystic card Tides of Fate that was released in the Innsmouth Conspiracy Deluxe expansion. Tides of Fate lets you swap all the curse tokens in the Chaos bag for blessed tokens, with the proviso that you have to swap them back at the end of the turn. But of course, if you swap them with Tides of Fate and then remove them all from the bag with Hallow, you never have to swap them back. So this is a potential way of dealing with a lot of curse tokens, whether you added them to the bag yourself or perhaps someone sitting at the table. You've got a curse deck at the table, they've added a bunch of curse tokens to the bag, or perhaps they're added to the bag by the scenario. We've seen a couple of scenarios in this cycle that also add curse tokens. If you were able to pull off this sort of combination, you could simply return all of those curse tokens into blessed tokens and then remove them from the bag. Now, if you were interested in pulling off this sort of combo, you would probably need to be playing Father Mateo or Sister Mary. I can't think of another investigator offhand who has access to level 0 Mystic cards and level 3 Guardian cards. So this combination is going to be restricted to a couple of investigators if you are interested in exploring that. Now, this is I think this kind of card is a combo player's dream. A lot of players are going to be trying to break this card and seeing how many times they can pull it off during a scenario and how much doom they can remove. I'm not that type of player, so a card like this kind of leaves me cold. I know a lot of people are very excited about it, and I freely admit the ability is very powerful, but one of the problems I see with this card is it is blank until you get the 10 blessed tokens. There's nothing you can really do with it until you get the 10 blessed tokens, other than commit it to a skill test for its 2 icons, which you've either got a wild icon you've got a wild icon, or you've got potentially two willpower skill icons, which is pretty good. But that's not why we're spending 3 experience points on this card. We're not playing it to commit it to skill tests. We want it to do quite a bit more, and it's going to take some work to get to pull off this effect. It's not you simply put this in your deck and you're like, haha, I'm going to be removing doom all over the place. No, you've got to have the infrastructure built, and you've got to get those blessed tokens into the bag before this does anything. Otherwise, you've spent 3, maybe 6 experience points for a card that really doesn't do anything. Now, my other issue with this card is that it doesn't really help you with Meat and Potatoes Arkham Horror LCG, and by that I mean it doesn't really help you fight, investigate, or evade any faster or more efficiently. And I sort of consider those the 3 pillars of the game, and it does, I guess you could make the argument that it does kind of help you if you're playing it in combination with a card like Tides of Fate to remove all those curse tokens from the bag. But I suspect that if you are playing either a blessed deck or a dedicated curse deck, you have other ways of dealing with those tokens. So trying to arrange a very elaborate combo to deal with them is not really, I don't see it as being very, very productive. Now, I think the biggest issue with this card, those are, minor issues, I think. The biggest issue, I think, with this card is that, honestly, I don't think Doom Thresholds really matter all that much in the game, especially if you're playing a deck that's firing on all cylinders. I was trying to remember, I was thinking back on all the games I've played, how many times have I lost due to the agenda deck advancing? And there's one I can think of for sure. It happened during the Path to Carcosa Iron Man at the Fantasy Flight Game Center. There was one time the Doom advanced and we lost the game. But most of the time, if I'm dying, it's because I've drawn encounter cards and I've taken too much damage, or I've drawn that second or third enemy that has jumped on top of me and they're beating the tar out of me and there's nothing I can do about it. Removing Doom doesn't help you in that case. And you know what is a good way of dealing with the Doom threshold? Just beating the scenario before it can advance. And so I think a card like this, I can see the appeal to players, and they're going to have a lot of fun with this, trying to break it and trying to see how much Doom they can remove, and exploring all sorts of combos like that. But personally, I just don't see myself purchasing this card, because, I mean, maybe if you're playing a Father Mateo deck and you're looking to remove Doom from cards like Blood Plaqued or Abyssal Tome or something like that, I could see making a case for it in that, because you just don't have access to a lot of cards like that. I think it's interesting that Nate and I were talking about, like, in this cycle there haven't been any cards to remove Doom, and yet we've got cards like Blood Plaqued and Abyssal Tome, and then they release this to show, yes, there is at least one card that really removes Doom. So you could probably make an argument for it in that, but if you're just removing Doom from the agenda, I'm not really sold on that, because really it's very rare that the Doom threshold is what kills me. Maybe you can make an argument for it in certain scenarios where you really need to beat a scenario around a corner before the agenda advances, and something like this would just give you that leg up to say, okay, I need to advance to act 2A or 3A before the agenda advances to 2B or 2C sort of thing. And this would give you a little bit of an edge there. But again, there just aren't that many scenarios. The one that sort of comes to mind for me would be the Secret Name, where you really need to deal with Keziah before you get to the end of that agenda deck, because otherwise it just becomes very, very difficult to beat her, and your game tends to just at that point you're pretty much dead. So if you have a way of removing Doom in that sort of situation, a card like this, I think, could give you that extra turn you need in order to advance the act far enough that you can get to the witch house and then deal with the witch in time. But I can see why some players are very excited about this card and its potential to remove lots of Doom from play. But the way I look at it, it's kind of like, okay, you need 10 Bless tokens. If you're going to be doing this repeatedly, you're going to need to be adding 10, 20, 30 Bless tokens to the bag over the course of a scenario. I certainly think that's possible, but I mean, it's not winning you the game, really. You know, you could just play other more effective cards that help you beat the scenario without having to worry, so the Doom doesn't matter. So that's where I sort of sit on it right now. We'll see how it plays out. I think it's an interesting card, but probably not a card that I'm going to be spending 3 to 6 experience points on. But we'll see. Maybe there is a Sister Mary deck or a Father Mateo deck where this card will shine. The second card in the card fan is Lucky Dice. This is Lucky Dice, or are they level 3? It is a 2-cost asset that costs 3 experience points. However, it does have the exceptional keyword, so it's going to set you back 6. It has a willpower and agility skill icon, and probably a response when you reveal a non-curse or non-auto-fail token, chaos token. Add 1 curse token to the chaos bag. Remove the just revealed token and reveal another one to resolve. If that token is a curse or auto-fail symbol, return Lucky Dice to your hand, cannot be ignored or cancelled. And Lucky Dice takes up an accessory slot. Now, this is an upgrade for Lucky Dice 2, which was released way back in the Undimensioned and Unseen Mythos pack. As I mentioned, it does cost 6 XP due to the exceptional keyword. It has the item trait, which synergizes with a bunch of cards. Not that many of them are played, but 2 of the big ones are probably Scavenging, and of course Mighty Sleight of Hand, which can do all sorts of tricks. It also has the Relic trait, which synergizes with cards like Dr. Ellie Horowitz and Ursula Downs from the Forgotten Age, and Witten Green, who was released in the Harvey Walters starter deck product. The effect of Lucky Dice 3 is quite similar to Lucky Dice 2. Lucky Dice 2 forced you to spend 2 resources to trigger its response, and if you drew the auto-fail token, the dice were removed from the game, which was a huge problem with this particular card. One, you had to spend a ridiculous amount of experience points to put it in your deck, so you're paying 4 experience points for 1 copy of this, and then if you get 1 bad pull, you draw an auto fail at the wrong time, poof, your dice go up in smoke, and you're left with nothing. So that was a big issue with the old Lucky Dice. I think these ones are considerably better, considering that while one, the original Lucky Dice forced you to spend 2 resources, which could get pretty pricey if you were revealing multiple tokens. There were only a few different investigators who could, I think, reasonably had the resource generation in order to trigger this thing multiple times per turn. I think Jenny or Preston certainly come to mind. There might be others out there, depending on how you build your deck, but spending 2 resources per token, that's going to get very expensive very quickly. In this case, they've changed the cost, so instead of paying 2 resources, you simply add a curse token. That's open to anybody can do that, so that's pretty good. And then I think the biggest change, of course, is that rather than if you draw a curse token or an auto fail, you lose the dice. In this case, if you draw a curse or an auto fail, they bounce back to your hand, so you don't lose them. You do have to take an action and spend 2 resources to replay them if you wish, but you don't lose the card outright. So even if you don't want to replay the dice, take that action and spend the 2 resources, you can still commit it to a skill test for a willpower or agility skill icon. And certainly rogues can use all the willpower skill icons they can get. So I wouldn't be too disappointed if this happened to bounce back to my hand at some point during the game. Now, it is worth noting that triggering the Lucky Dice 3, much like Lucky Dice 2, it's not limited to skill tests, so you can use them in situations when it says reveal a token from the Chaos Bag, like we have on the Clover Club card room in The House Always Wins way back in the Dunwich Legacy. That forces you to gamble by revealing Chaos tokens. You can use Lucky Dice in those sorts of situations to reveal multiple tokens. I think one of the nice things, if you are playing a curse deck with the Lucky Dice and you don't pull a curse or auto-fail token, you can use the dice to fill up the Chaos Bag with curse tokens that you can then leverage for other effects. So as long as you can sort of use the dice to drip feed the bag full of Chaos tokens, which if you're using those types of tokens and you want a lot of them, this just gives you another way of taking those Chaos Bag draws from the Chaos Bag, using skill tests and other tests to add more curse tokens to the bag. So that's not a bad use of them either. Now it's worth noting here that you don't necessarily need to be playing a deck that focuses on the curse mechanic to get to generate some value from the dice. If you're playing a rogue deck, or I probably would have to be a rogue deck here because they do cost 3 experience points. But if you're playing a rogue who isn't playing any of the other curse cards, you can still use the dice, add a curse token here and there to get another pull from the Chaos Bag. It's a lot better than 2 resources in a lot of circumstances. So you're basically you're adding a curse token, which may hurt you down the road, but you are getting that repull. So if you have the Lucky Dice down on the table toward the end of a scenario, you've got a key pull, hey, maybe add a couple of curse tokens to the bag. You're probably never going to see them if the game is over, so this gives you a nice bite at another bite at the apple. So I think it's these Lucky Dice 3 is I think they're better than Lucky Dice 2. The cost is certainly right. I would much rather add a curse token than spend 2 resources. If you've got some way of leveraging those curse tokens, even better. Adding more curse tokens to the bag in that case is a good thing. And like we said, hey, maybe you've got a player at the table who's using lucky dice to feed the bag with curse tokens. You've got another player at the table who's got a Tides of Fate waiting and a Hallow to turn them all into blessed tokens. That sort of thing is certainly an option. I think probably the biggest knock against this card is that it does cost 6 experience points, and it is a one of. So you do need to have some way of getting it into play reliably. But certainly it's far better if you do draw a curse, if and when you do draw a curse or auto fail token, that you have the lucky dice come back to your hand rather than being discarded. So I don't think I've ever played Lucky Dice 2 in a deck. I'd be willing to give Lucky Dice 3 a try. Again, I look at that 2 resource cost on Lucky Dice 2, and yeah, that's a lot unless you're playing a certain type of investigator. This makes Lucky Dice open to a lot more investigators to play around with. So I expect this one to see a little more play than its predecessor did. The next card that was spoiled in the preview article is Ancestral Knowledge. It is a permanent Seeker asset that costs 3 experience points. However, it does have the exceptional keyword, so it will set you back 6. It has the game text, your deck must include at least 10 skills. Your deck size is increased by 5. It has a response, before you draw your opening hand, attach 5 random non-weakness skills from your deck face down to this card. And it has the free triggered ability, exhaust Ancestral Knowledge, draw 1 attached skill. So I took a look at the Seeker Investigators. This is probably primarily a Seeker card. I don't think there are any non-Seekers who can play this. And Amanda Sharp, Mandy Thompson, and Minte Fan decks tend to include at least 10 skill cards. So those, I think, vault to the top of the list as investigators who would be interested in playing a card like this. Although there are quite a few other decks. I was taking a look at a few Daisy Walker decks. They're, playing 7 skills, so it wouldn't take too much for investigators like that to sort of just bump up a couple of skills, and they would have access to this card as well. So I think that's pretty exciting. This sort of card is the type that generates new deck archetypes as people angle to get to those 10 skills. So that's pretty exciting, I think, for players who love playing around with investigators. Much like Versatile that we saw, was it last cycle? Yes, during the Dream Eaters, we saw Versatile, which, so when your deck size increases by 5, you do get to purchase level 0 cards at 0 experience point cost until the legal deck size is reached. So unless you have experience to burn, you can also add enough level 0 cards to your deck in order to reach that deck size. That's a neat effect. I quite like that effect. I wish we'd see more of it to give investigators a little bit more flexibility as they're building their decks over the course of a campaign. It's nice to have that little bit of wiggle room to say, oh, maybe I could use, this card doesn't see a lot of play, but I know I'm going to be playing this upcoming scenario, or maybe the final chapter of a campaign, and I could really use card X, and I can get card X easily by I don't know what to take out, but if I purchase Ancestral Knowledge, I can raise my deck size by 5 and then have room for that card. So I quite like that ability. Now, it's worth noting that Amanda Sharp's weakness is a skill, Whispers from the Deep. So it does count toward the 10 skill threshold, but you cannot attach it to Ancestral Knowledge. It will remain in your deck because Ancestral Knowledge specifies non-weakness skills. Now, there has been some debate about the wording of this card, whether you get to look at the attached skill cards before you draw them. I don't think you do. I'm pretty sure you don't, because it just says attach 5 random skills from your deck face down. So the skills would be face down in front of you, and then it says draw one of them. So they're still face down, and you just have to pick one at random. But I think this card is, I mean, we've seen so many broken Seeker cards over the last couple cycles that I pretty much assume every Seeker card now is probably busted in some way, shape, or form. And I'm sure that players will find all sorts of ways to abuse this one. If you can stack your deck with a lot of very high impact skill cards, having them all on the table in front of you at the start of the game, and you just get to pick one of them every turn, that's pretty awesome. Especially if you're somebody like Min who gets to add skill icons to those cards. So you can even turn sort of middling to mediocre skills into very good skills with Min. So having say 5 high impact skills on the table just sitting in front of you, assuming if they have all wild skill icons, who cares what they do. You've just got a pile of icons sitting in front of you. So I mean, what can you say? This is I like this card, because it's going to create some deck diversity. You're going to see a bunch of new decks come out of a card like this as players tweak their decks to try to incorporate something like this. Amanda, Mandy, and Min are good candidates for it already, but I think you'll see some of the other Seekers as well start to play around, try to manipulate their builds a little bit to get those skills in there. If you can get high impact skills, all the better. And I really like the deck size increase effect, and I wish we'd see more of that in cards in the future. So no complaints here about Ancestral Knowledge. We expect the final Mythos pack of a cycle to have some very powerful cards in it, and these types of permanents have proven themselves to be over and over again to be extremely powerful, and I don't expect anything different from Ancestral Knowledge. Excited to see what comes out of having this card in the card pool. The second Seeker, they spoiled both Seeker cards in the Mythos pack preview. This is Ariadne's Twine. Ariadne, is that how you pronounce that? Ariadne's Twine. It is a free asset that costs 3 experience points. It has 2 intellect skill icons and the ritual trait. It enters play with 0 secrets. Secrets on Ariadne's Twine can be spent as if they were on any asset controlled by an investigator at your location. And it has a free triggered ability: exhaust Ariadne's Twine, move 1 secret from an asset you control to your resource pool as a resource, or vice versa. Ariadne's Twine takes up an arcane slot. So we'll start at the top here. We sort of expect a card like this to have a bunch of intellect skill icons. Check, it has 2. It has the ritual trait, so if you're playing, I guess it synergizes with sign magic, although I haven't seen sign magic really break into the card pool in any shape or form, but you can stuff this in create an extra arcane slot with sign magic and stuff Ariadne's Twine in there if you need to. But all that stuff is that's just peanuts compared to the ability on this thing. This thing is absolutely bonkers once you start to take a look at what you can do with this. It enters play with 0 secrets, but if you're playing with any cards that use secrets, you can basically convert a secret to a resource or a resource to a secret. And man, if you've ever been 1 secret shy of triggering, you run out of secrets on a card, bang, this thing gets you more secrets. Every turn, once a turn, you turn a resource into a secret, and you're good to go. And the secrets, you don't have to place them on the original asset you were using. They can sit on Ariadne's Twine, and the secrets that are the assets that you're using that use secrets can simply use the secrets that are on the Twine as though they were in play. And not just you, other investigators at your location who are using cards that use secrets can use those secrets. So if you were able to combine this card with other investigators in your group, say you've got there are lots of mystic cards that use secrets, Diana Esperance for example. So if you pair a seeker and a mystic, and you've got that mystic can be using, you can You could be just saying, okay, I don't need my resources right now, so I'm just going to slowly convert them into secrets. And then Diana Esperance can use those secrets to, say, play Word of Protection 2 that's stacked on her and cancel every bad treachery card that comes out of the deck. That is a fantastic combination, and that is just one example. We'll take a look at a few more of them here, but wow, this is, we expect powerful cards, and this is definitely one of them. Very excited about this one. Let's take a look at some of the cards that use secrets. We've got all of the upgrades for Ancient Stone, so you can convert a resource to a secret and then power up your Ancient Stone if necessary. We've got Book of Psalms that was released back in the Innsmouth Conspiracy Deluxe expansion. So if you have a Guardian in the group who is using the Book of Psalms, they can use your secrets that you've stacked on Ariadne's Twine. The new Cryptic Grimoires that just were released in Horror in High Gear, they all need X number of secrets before you can trigger their ability. What better way of getting those secrets than simply converting your resources into those secrets and stacking them on Ariadne's Twine, so then you can trigger the grimoires when you need to. You don't need to worry about pulling curse tokens from the Chaos Bag if you can simply turn your resources into secrets, stack them on Ariadne's Twine, and then use the Cryptic Grimoire to fire them. Cryptographic Cipher, there's Diana Esperance. We already talked a little bit about her. We've got Eldritch Sophist, who does some more manipulations with secrets. We've got Encyclopedia, fantastic level 2 card that uses secrets. You combine this, you'll have secrets for days. And I mean, it's not like Seekers have problems with generating resources. They have probably, at this point in the game's history, more ways to generate resources than rogues do. Usually resources is not a problem if I'm playing a Seeker. So what better way of taking advantage of that than turning all of those extra resources into secrets to power these cards? We have, what else do we have? We've got, these aren't so super good, but the one that stood out to me here, of course, is Mr. Rook. I mean, Mr. Rook needs more secrets. Fine, I'm turning my resources into secrets that I can then, Mr. Rook can use to find me whatever card I need. That's crazy. Old Book of Lore 3, again, super good card that you can use to draw a card, or like use deck filtering to pick the cards you need in your deck. You can get to do that. If I was playing a Mystic who's, I've played Mind's Eye, it was a really good card in the Mystic deck I was playing with, but of course Mind's Eye is limited by the number of secrets on it, and Mystics don't have a lot of ways of adding extra secrets. Along comes Ariadne's Twine, you pair that Mystic with a Seeker, and bang, you can have, you could run a whole scenario and never run out of secrets with Mind's Eye to boost your skill tests. So awesome there. And then we've got the last bunch. We've got Narcotic Manuscripts, very powerful Scroll of Prophecies. If you need card draw and you're playing Daisy Walker, you put the scroll down, you convert a resource to a secret, stack it on Ariadne's Twine, trigger the scroll, draw yourself 3 cards for a resource. Like, that's pretty good. And then, of course, the new Scroll of Secrets 0 and 3. All of those, I believe, were converted into free triggered abilities. Again, you can convert a resource to a secret and then draw cards at fast speed. That's very, very good. And then there's, of course, the big one, the Necronomicon from the Harvey Walters starter deck. If anybody's watched the Iron Man I posted from the Circle Undone, you saw how powerful that card can be. And here you get the Necronomicon down. Necronomicon has a lot of very expensive effects on it that cost a lot of secrets. But if you play the Necronomicon, you can just sit there, stack all the resources you want on Ariadne's Twine, and then just, man, the Necronomicon could do so much damage. It makes me shudder. So there are a ton of different sorts of combinations you can pull with Ariadne's Twine. And if you are playing a deck that relies on secrets, whether you're a Seeker or you are playing in multiplayer and you need someone to give you a hand, making sure that your cards are topped up. Man, just a good card. Really, I mean, these cards are really standing out to me. We've seen a lot of cards in this particular cycle that deal with the Bless and Curse mechanic, and unless you're committing to the Bless and Curse mechanic, those cards, if you don't want to play Bless or Curse cards, then those cards are worthless to you. But a card like this, man, Ariadne's Twine comes along, Ancestral Knowledge comes along. These are the sorts of cards that create new deck archetypes and take the game in all sorts of different and wild directions. And I am very excited to see what investigators can do with these types of cards. I mean, Seekers get all the best cards, and here's another two fantastic cards for the Seeker card pool. Man, if any other class got cards that were close to what Seekers get, it would be amazing. Speaking of cards that are very, very good, we are going to finish off this preview with the final card that was spoiled, and that is Justify the Means. It is a 3-cost rogue skill. It has the Practiced and Cursed traits. You may commit Justify the Means to any type of skill test. As an additional cost to commit Justify the Means to a skill test, add Curse tokens to the Chaos bag equal to the test's difficulty. This test automatically succeeds. I mean, what can you say? Automatic success for a couple Curse tokens in the bag. You don't even have to be playing the Curse or Bless mechanic. You don't have to lean into that to appreciate the power of a card like this. It's hugely situational. You don't know how good this card is until you run into a situation when you need it. But, you're taking so many skill tests during a scenario that automatically succeeding at one of them is going to be good. And really all that matters is how many Curse tokens I'm going to have to add to the bag to use this thing. If it's not that many, 1 or 2, 3 Curse tokens in the bag, no big deal. You could potentially draw them during skill tests later in the game, but if you're playing the final scenario of a campaign and you need 1 skill test to succeed to win, you drop this down, dump Curse tokens in the bag, and away you go. You automatically succeed, no muss, no fuss, easy. And just to give you, when I saw this card, I immediately thought of the two, the rogues Achilles' heels. We've got Frozen in Fear and Rotting Remains. If you're playing any rogue investigator, but if you're playing in particular investigators like Winifred Havamok or Finn, who have 1 willpower, dealing with willpower skill tests is a constant thorn in your side, and there are ways to deal with them. It's just you usually have to do a lot of sometimes you have to end up playing suboptimal cards to do that. You've got to do a lot of jumping through hoops to get to pass these skill tests. Justify the Means just became an auto-include for me in Winifred. This, to me, something like this is so much better than even her signature skill. Anything you can do better. I would much rather have an auto success than 6 wild skill icons any day of the week. And you can put 2 of these in your deck. You draw Frozen in Fear, it's just like, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to move. Oh, I've played Justify the Means. I automatically succeed for, 3 Curse tokens? Fine. I'm more than happy to put 3 Curse tokens in the bag to get out of a Frozen in Fear. You draw Rotting Remains, you're a bit low on sanity, dump a bunch of Curse tokens and dump 3 Curse tokens in the bag, you automatically succeed. You don't have to worry about it. Those are just a couple of skill tests. There are so many situations when Justify the Means is going to be amazing that it just such a good card, and I think it's already received tons of kudos from the community, and I think that I just have to add mine here because it's just so good. And man, it just makes me want to get my hands on this Mythos pack so I can get this card from my rogue decks. Man, oh man, what a great card. That's going to do it for my look at the player cards in the Into the Maelstrom Mythos pack preview. We expect powerful cards in the final Mythos pack of a cycle, and this pack does not disappoint. Hallow, I can see its appeal to some players. It's not for me, but the effect is certainly powerful. Ancestral Knowledge, Ariadne's Twine, Justify the Means. Man, all very good. Lucky Dice, I can see I'd play it. I mean, for a curse token here or there, I wouldn't mind pulling from the Chaos bag. But we've seen, I mean, on the card fan, there's a 0-cost, 5 experience point Mystic card that deals with curse tokens. So looking forward to seeing what that one does. And there is a new Survivor ally. So man, this pack looks absolutely amazing. I know Nate and I have been sort of down on the cards in this cycle so far. The packs have been sort of, the quality hasn't necessarily been there. The curse cards, the Bless and Curse cards seem to be pretty interesting, but the other cards in the packs haven't been necessarily that good, or they just seem to be sort of like weaker versions of cards we already have. I'm thinking here of Truth Beckons in particular from Devil Reef. Not so with this pack. This pack, if the rest of the cards in this pack are anything like the ones in the preview, man, this one is definitely a keeper. The Seeker cards in particular, Ancestral Knowledge and Ariadne's Twine, those are cards that are going to generate new deck archetypes, and that is very exciting for the game as we enter the next cycle, which should be released, or the next deluxe expansion, I should say. The preview for that, I expect to see that probably in February, and we will know where we are off to next. Could it be maybe we have a continuation of the Innsmouth campaign and we head off to the South Pacific to tackle Great Cthulhu? Maybe we'll head off to the Arctic to tackle Wendigo. Maybe we're going to head to Antarctica to deal with the Elder Things down there. Who knows? I know that designer Matt Newman and Jeremy Zorin have all sorts of crazy ideas in their heads, so I am looking forward to seeing where we are going next, and I will bring you my reaction to that announcement when it happens. So look for that sometime next month.